Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis. And in the evening the MCQ lesson comes, and in the morning the Hindu lesson comes. Both in Indian and English you get these lessons and follow them religiously. Important facts, important articles, mains based, prelims based, interview based preparation is here, and it's a daily edition. So it's a very important thing because it is maintaining your continuity also, and that is the most impactful thing in the UPSC preparation, or maybe any other goal in the life. Consistency is the biggest thing. So 4th July it is, and we will take the lesson quickly, and today some live sessions are there, so we will take the lesson very quickly. So these are important affordable courses, and below the video you will find the link there, and all the descriptions are given there. You can visit the website also, and you can call on these numbers. PDF you will get on this Facebook group. You can send me a request, and you can follow me on Instagram also, and on the Telegram channel I upload these PDFs. I will give you this link here also, and on the StudyIQ's Telegram channel, we all know about that, and you must be accessing that particular channel. So there also these PDFs are available. Regarding the articles today, this is a political one and no need to discuss. It is regarding the defection and anti-defection law came as a 10th schedule in our constitution, and the ultimate authority to decide about the membership on the basis of anti-defection that lies with the Speaker of the Lok Sabha and the Chairman with the Rajya Sabha. So they decide about the case of anti-defection, and when some member of the parliament, or maybe some MLA or something like that in these states, so if they change their parties, if they change their stands, and consistently if they do that, then anti-defection law can be applied on them. And you see, it actually supports the party system, because parties have their ideologies, their ways, and they want all these people whom they have had given tickets to, so they want that they fall in line and they go according to the party stand. But you see, it actually crushed the logic here, because member of parliaments are the representatives, and they must decide on their conscience and the people's demand. So the people's demand and the uprightness there, and the issue of logic and things being justified, that is way bigger than any other party in this country. So that's why this is a different logic. But you see, many people, they made it so complex that they had to bring this particular anti-defection law, because some people were there who changed parties many times in a single day. So they made this system like a very much a rotten system, and they were just getting consistent offers from different parties, so they kept changing their parties. So that's why this anti-defection issue was brought up. So this is the philosophy behind that. Now in Karnataka, BJP is trying to get these people on the lines of defection, because they want their establishment there. And right now Congress plus JDUS, they are ruling that Karnataka state. So that's the case. JDS, sorry, not JDU, JDS is that. And next article, Mumbai Maroon, again a routine issue. You see, it's a so unfortunate thing. 26 people killed 2 days back in that wall collapse, and every time in this season, Mumbai is like any third class city. Why? Because the administration, the municipal corporation, and the government there, they have no will to make changes in the city's condition. Crores of rupees they invest there, crores of rupees they spend on these activities, bringing schemes, advertisements, and campaigns and all. And I don't know what they are doing, why they are not able to bring these solutions there. This is so modern a word, but people are reaching up to Mars these days, but they are not able to bring solutions to these problems. And Mumbai pays highest amount of tax in this country, and these people, they deserve these kind of facilities. And it's a huge level of apathy, and you see, there is no political will which is visible in this city, so gracious city, economic capital of this country, so diverse a country. And you see, it should have been a world class city in all means. And you see the basic condition, and that's why I called it a third class country in the monsoon season, because the clear water, the drains water, and all these things are mixed up on the roads, and people are just bound to walk through these roads and all. And administration, these systems, these politics that makes this city a third class city in this season. Because what are these systems? A drainage system, you see, in a Dholavira 5,000 years back we had those systems. Grid systems were there. In Mohenjo-daro we had those systems. In Lothal we had those systems 5,000 years back. And what is the condition of Mumbai today? Cannot they manage it? They can manage it, but it is all politics. And that makes this issue so complex that any developmental factor is so difficult. You see, people are getting killed below these wall which are collapsed, and people are getting killed due to these foot over bridges which collapsed. And in this monsoon season, you see, innocent people, they are held up. They are paying high amount of taxes, but still they are stuck on the roads. Why? Roads are flooded. So is it just a climate change issue, and is it just a monsoon to be blamed here? It is not like that. It is all overall management. And there are engineers, they can see the condition, they can observe the condition, they can bring out plans. Plans are there every time, recommendations are there, but they do not implement it. So what is the issue? Who is responsible for that? This responsibility should be fixed, because every season we see this, and it's so unfortunate, and it is so disheartening to see a great city, Mumbai, and that looks like that in this season, and many lives are lost. So that's why this satirical comment should reach up to those authorities, and that is a really important issue. So you can write a mains question on that also. And next article is again somehow political, because it is talking about the BJP party and how they are trying to snatch away the federal feature from this country, because they want a monoculture to be imposed here. And in the case of Puducherry, in the case of Delhi, which both are union territories, but they have legislative assemblies there. So Delhi has many restrictions according to Article 239A and 239AA, but these conditions are not applicable on Puducherry. But Puducherry has many complaints. Kiran Bedi, who was made the lieutenant governor there for Puducherry, now the chief minister of Puducherry, he has many complaints against her. He says that she interferes a lot in the day-to-day administration there, and the cooperation should have been there, but it's all a dictation of the issues. And even after, when the court has said that the LG would not dictate the terms, state is having an elected body there, and the legislative assembly is an elected body, and they have to work according to the people's will there. So that's the case. So you cannot dictate these terms. And you see, through this LG or through any governor in a state, actually central government is dictating the terms, because what are these? These are just the agents of the central government, as we all know about that. And that's the practical sense, because two things are there, de jure and de facto. So de facto, these are the agents of the central government only, because they can be removed any time, they can be appointed at any time, and they will just have to say this to President of India, and President of India is just a rubber stamp. He would pass these orders to remove or appoint any person. So that's the case. So that is how federalism is under a lot of danger, and it is all the politics. Wherever there are different parties who are in rule in some state or in some union territory, they are facing a lot of troubles. Whether we talk about Karnataka, whether we talk about Rajasthan, whether we talk about Puducherry or Delhi, everywhere there are troubles. And through this way only there are troubles, and the cooperation is disturbed totally. So that's why it's actually killing the federal feature there, because regional parties or the opposition parties should be there. It is all for the balance. And no party is so honest, no party in India is so idealistic. Maybe it's all a advertisement issue, it's all a psychological clout in the democracy. But truth is that no party is so honest. They all are just fighting for their own existence in every talk of them. And you see, even the political campaigning, what they say, they just say that our goal, what is your goal? Our goal is to strengthen the party's position. Our goal is to bring this government again for the people's advantage there. And never they say that we want to do this kind of work, this is our goal, and we will improve this condition in this state or in this country, and these are the issues which we are working on, and we will make these things robust. Nobody said that in the last Lok Sabha elections. What they said, our aim is to bring government in this state, our aim is to bring government in all the states, our aim is to bring this issue again. So this is all the campaigning has reached up to a level. So this is a very unfortunate thing to discuss, but you see, it is all advertisement. On the advertisement, 5,000 crore rupees were wasted. We all know about that. 60,000 crore rupees were wasted on Lok Sabha elections, and worst kind of campaigning in the history we have seen. So we know what kind of parties are there, and no party is what we say in Hindi, doodh ki dhuli party, nothing of that sort. So that's why cooperation should be there, and this balance should be there, so that at least they are countering their tyrannous positions between each other, and they are pulling legs. That's all a negative thing, but it saves the democracy from become a tyrannous system. That is also a truth. So that's why the federal characters are extremely important, and balancing is extremely important in the democracy, although it's not a perfect way to deal with the things. But in these many more complex situations, this can be a safe way to not to become tyrannous here in this state. So that's the case. We will discuss this article here. This article would be important for GS paper 2 and 3 mainly, talking about the budget and the challenges there and the economic condition. This article is important for GS paper 2 mainly, and these would be not much important. One more article is there on the next page, and it is regarding the PM Kisan Nidhi Yojana and what are the difficulties with that. We will discuss that. So let's start with that. A scheme for farmers that has not reached most farmers. GS paper 2 would be there, and 3 is also important here. You see, the economy is also impacted. It's a welfare scheme. What is the problem with the welfare scheme? They impacts economy negatively because there is no certain output there, and there is just investment. And you see, in this PM Kisan Nidhi Yojana, 75,000 crore rupees they would be spending here, and according to our estimate, they have said that we will short of the fiscal target issue, and because we have to spend 87,000 crore rupees with this particular scheme. So these are the details. So around 90,000 crore rupees they will be spending here. So it's a huge amount. It creates a lot of negative impact on the economy. And what is the use there? For that, we have to discuss the scheme there. You see, it was put against 2 important schemes which were regional schemes: Ryutu Bandhu of Telangana and the Kalia scheme of Odisha, which was much appreciated a scheme because the detailings tell us about that. You see, in PM Kisan, only the landowners were recognized as agriculturists. Okay, and they were saying that small and marginal farmers means small and marginal landowners, they will be hailed as farmers, and they will be given this 6,000 rupees per year, and in 3 important installments, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000 rupees, and 2,000 rupees were given to these people before the Lok Sabha elections. So that raised many questions, that it is directly giving money before elections, but it is the way it is there, and it was having a name of income support scheme. So PM Kisan Nidhi Yojana it was, and you see, again an issue, much advertisement we have seen, and what is the reality? They say that first installment was received, and only 24% people received the second installment, and only 27% received the first installment, because it was a retrospective scheme from December 18. So first installment was given to them in the month of March, and second was about to be given, but only 24% people have got this second installment there. So that's a trouble. And when these numbers are just 27%, 24% means less than 1/3, then the execution becomes a questionable thing here, because out of 75,000 rupees, 70,000 crore rupees, they just spent 17% of it. And for the accounting and the evaluation, the whole amount was transferred there, but the actual spending is just 17%. And they have said that 87,000 rupees we would be needing here in this year, and that is why the fiscal deficit targets would be compromised here. So that's the case. Now, what is the impact of this scheme? You see, they are just recognizing a particular percentage of the farmers, because they are not giving any money to the landless laborers, and they need a lot of support there. They are just talking about the income supports and the doubling the income issue, and it is all the focus there. But the agriculture needs structural reforms. In the Kalia scheme, that was the Krishak assistance for livelihood and the income augmentation. Means they were also giving money to the people who did not own any land. So that's why the Kalia scheme was way better than this PM Kisan Yojana. So it falls short of these issues also. In the Ritu Bandhu scheme, per acre 8,000 rupees per annum. So that amount was also bigger than that, and this 6,000 rupees, it is just 1/5 of their inputs which are there every year. So it's just a simple assistance there, and it is not creating much impact in their incomes and their livelihoods. So that's why it was the allegation that it will not impact in a huge way. Just 6,000 rupees per year would be given, and it does not add to any huge impact there. So what is the meaning of giving direct money before the elections? So they say that it was just a political stunt, and due to gain the votings and all, due to make impact on these people's mind, in the farmers' mind, in these agrarian crisis condition, that was brought up there. So those were the parts of the allegations. And now in the detailings, we feel some things here, and it says that it is not a fix for the large structural issues. No way you can call it a reform or some kind of a fix for the large structural issues which are extremely needed in this agrarian crisis phase. And as I told you, the scheme recognizes only landowners as farmers and the tenants who constitute 13.7% of the farm households, and incur additional input cost of land rent and don't stand to gain anything if not part of the cultivated land. Then there is a strong case to include landless tenants also, but they are not included in this scheme. So that's why it has a very little impact there. Okay, so they say that it should be uniformly implemented across the regions. This change should be there so that some impact we would see on the ground of this PM Kisan Yojana. Otherwise, it is creating economic stress there and not impacting the farmers too much. Next, a very important article talking on the points here and giving some suggestions to the finance ministry here, because Nirmala Sitharaman would be bringing her first budget here, her maiden budget, and less than 1 month is left for all these discussions and all, and this article would be important for GS paper 2 and 3, and you can write a mains question that what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, what are the problems that you can identify here, and what are the solutions in this phase, because it is talking about all of them. It says that walking a tightrope, minister has had less than a month to work on this crucial budget, and many alarms are there. What are these alarms? Like freeze in the credit market. We all know public investment and the private investment both are stuck. NPAs are a huge problem. Banks are not able to give much loans. GDP growth is a problematic thing. Arvind Subramaniam says that it may be a way larger problem, and these numbers of 7% may be actually 4.5% only. So these are great suspicions there. Monsoon is there, and consumption slowdown is certainly there, and that's why many of the experts, they suggest that people should be given more disposable income. What is the disposable income? The income they earn may be 10,000 rupees a month, and after the taxes, if 9,000 rupees are left, so it is the disposable income. So there must be more disposable income with the people, and government should go for direct taxes cuts. Okay, how it is going to implement? It's going to impact the system here. Maybe it would be a loss in the direct tax collection for the government, but it would increase the indirect tax collection, because more disposable income with the people, they would go to market and they would actually buy more things and would pay higher GSTs there, because GST is applicable in all the commodities there. So that's why it will increase the indirect taxation there. So that is the case. So that is also a problem. Consumption slowdown is also there. So this is not a simple situation, and many questions are there, that what are the resultant higher borrowing crowd out the private sector borrowers crowd out, as I told you, suppose somebody is giving money somewhere, and many people are there, and one side there is private sector and one side there is government sector. If government sector people, they would reach up to that lender first, and they would take all the money, and private sector people, they are just in the line and they could not get any money, because till the time their turn was there was no money left. So it was the crowding out impact, means the crowd has kicked you out. So private sector was kicked out by government sector in some sense. So the borrowing, if both are doing, government and the private sector, then government is always a preferable option, because more credibility is there, because it's a government. So that is the case, and this is how it crowds out and elbow out the private sector. So it is a big speculation that will the resultant higher borrowings crowd out the private sector borrowers? Is it the case? And what is going to happen with the inflation issue, and what's going to happen with the interest rates issue, and cutting the taxes, putting more money in the hands of the consumer, will it be an option? Or higher spending on the infrastructure, will it be an option? Because two important options are there. We will talk about them later. But it says that some welfare schemes are there which are also demanding money. As I told you, 87,000 crore rupees they would demand in the PM Kisan Nidhi Yojana. So these are also to be financed there, and it will create a lot of problem for the government, because anyhow they would have to arrange the money. They would have to borrow this money, and this is how it will crowd out the private investment again there. And what are the issues? Ground realities are there. Ground reality is that 5.8% in the fourth quarter, this was the growth rate, official growth rate. So on an average, just 7% is the growth rate, and it may be 4.5% if Arvind Subramaniam is true in its calculation and its speculation and suspicions there. So that's again a huge issue, and we have set a target of $5 trillion economy by 2024 that we discussed yesterday. So how it is going to be possible? Based on these ground realities, it looks nearly impossible. But you see, automobile sector, that's a bellwether for the larger economy. If you want to become a larger economy, then automobile sales and the manufacturing, these are the huge boosts there, and on the basis of their performance, economy would take off from here. So it's towards a sliding side since last October, and volumes down by around 20%. 18% is the number, and 20% was given in a different number there. And real estate construction sector, biggest job creators, they are stuck in this credit freeze, means no money to invest there. Credit freeze, NPAs are a huge problem, and no investment is there. Direct tax revenue fell short of 82,000 crore rupees last fiscal, and indirect tax collection, that is almost satisfactory, but they made a target of 1 lakh to 1,10,000 crore a month, but only in 2 months they crossed 1 lakh crore rupees in April and March. So that's the reality. So many challenges are there. So how they are going to arrange the money, from where the money would come? So they have some options here. Asset sale, the biggest issue which may give them a pure money, a pure financial assistance, but it is selling their own assets. So that's a problem, but they have made this idea a very fancy idea, with the target that 90,000 crore rupees they would get from the disinvestment process. Although disinvestment is not always advisable, because these are state's assets. It is just like if I am short of money, then I am selling my house, or maybe a room of the house I am selling, then it's called disinvestment. So they are selling the stakes there. And Air India issue is going on. If they are able to sell Air India off, then half of the target would be completed, because 90,000 is for 1 year. So that's the case. One more cases of the one-time transfer from RBI's reserves. That is also very controversial thing. Some say that it's necessary, some say that it is not a wise decision, but the Vimal Jalan committee is considering the situation there, and they would have to see that one-time transfer would be possible for the government or not, because RBI is the government's banker there. We all know about that, and it is the responsibility of the RBI in some difficult times. It has to support that, but it is all economics. Everything comes with a price, and they all have to repay that. So what is going to happen with that? Next, the auctions in the telecom sector. 5G spectrum is an issue now, and Huawei issue is going on in this world. So we are also discussing that thing, that are we going to allow Huawei here or not? But the auctioning would be there, because the way biddings are there, and this earns a lot of money to the government. So they may go for that, and that would earn some money to the telecom department. But you see, issue is that it is not feasible right now, because the telecom sector is going through a lot of problems, and even the minister has accepted those things now, that really there are many troubles. So they are just licking their wounds from the combined effect of past excesses, and the competition is really brutal, and it's totally biased in a sense, because Jio is getting all the boost there, all the clearances there, and it's a smooth sail for Jio, but all others and the BSNL, MTNL, they are just wiped out, and the bailout packages are being discussed for BSNL, MTNL, and Airtel, Vodafone, Idea. They all are struggling a lot. So it is not going to be possible in this fiscal. It looks like that. So that also may be a problem in the money raising. Next, higher government borrowing may elbow the private sector borrowers out. As I told you, the same problem of the crowding out impact. So unintended negative consequence of the pushing up of the market rates, that is also a problem, because you see, arranging the money is necessary, it is important, but it will have its own impacts, negative impacts, because government has to repay those things, and always with some interest. If government goes with the government securities method, means government would issue these government securities and would raise the money from the market. So people will go for government securities, and they would not invest in some companies in some share markets or something like that. So this way, government is elbowing out the private sector investment, and government has to repay higher interest rates here, because it's a short issue of repayment with the interest rates that government has to repay. So that's the case, but it's necessary right now, and it may not cause much dissonance there. So government would go for that for sure. Next, some good news from the SEBI. SEBI went for some regulations on the rating agencies. As I told you, they made some mistakes there in rating some important companies, and they failed in repaying their loans. So some tighter norms were brought up by SEBI for rating agencies. Now they are bringing restrictions for mutual funds in some conditions they are putting here, and one condition is actually favorable for the government. They say that 20% of their liquid schemes, they would have to invest in the government securities. So if they are going to invest in government securities, means that would be a money coming for the government for some time, for some years. So this is how government may have some money in its pocket because of this regulation on the mutual funds. So that's the case. So this way, government may arrange some money, but always challenges are there. So it is the time before the budget, and they would have to discuss all these things. Now, two important choices are there, two accommodative stands there. Like, one is either to cut the taxes. As I told you, direct tax, if they are cut, then more disposable income, and more push for the market, because more sales will be there, so market would be delighted with that. So that will only be possible if people would have disposable income with them. So either to cut the taxes, and next, do not go for that, and go for borrowing and spend on asset creation, so that in the longer term it would be a favorable situation. But it looks like that right now tax cuts can be a better idea, and better still would be to increase the interest deduction for housing loans, which would also give a boost to the real estate market, because real estate is struggling a lot, and because of this problem in the real estate, the employment in the real estate is also a huge problem there. So that's the case. So these all are situations, challenges, and the ground realities before the budget presentation here, and these all things are in front of us in a summarized manner. The writer talks about all the macro issues here, and we can write an important point here, important mains question here in 300 words. As I told you, that all these are challenges there, and you may discuss the challenges and the opportunities there. Opportunity is that for a better economy, and for these targets of $5 trillion economy, it's a progressive world now. Many technological advances are there. E-governance is there for the help, and if the execution is honest, and they have better plans for investments, and if the private and government investment that gets a boost, then we may grow more than 7, 8, 9% of the GDP rates, growth rates. But if these challenges are not solved, and all these economic pressures like the welfare schemes and all, if still they will be there, if the politics will not have that kind of a will, and if they would not go for better and bold decisions at that time, then we may have a very huge economic crisis in the near future. So instead of $5 trillion economy, we may have a huge economic stress and crisis there. So that's the case. Next article, I have explained to you that how these federal features are important. You may write a very important mains question here, that why in India, in a diverse country like India, federal features are important. Why India chose to be a quasi-federal state, and what are the important problems of the federal state, and what are the important advantages of being a federal state, and in the context of Indian condition, why this issue of federal features are much more important to follow in democracy. So that's the case. And you can take the context of these cases of Delhi and Puducherry there, and in some other cases also where they pushed for president's rules and all, like in Jammu Kashmir, like in Arunachal Pradesh, like in Uttarakhand. They tried these things in the last 5 years. So that is the case. Next, regarding the Iran oil imports, some clarification is there by the minister. Ministry says that we have not put a total ban on the Iranian oil imports, because we have unique relation with Iran, and we have made changes there. We have lowered these imports, but you cannot say that we are under US pressure a lot, and we have not totally cancelled the import from there, although some changes are there. So reducing them considerably and totally stopping them, these two are different things. So that's the clarification, and this may have its consequences. We have to see that. Next, government's nod for leasing out 3 airports to Adani. Again, this thing happened. This thing happened in the past in February when Pulwama attacks were going on. So at that time, it was not much highlighted issue. But again, Adani, with its aggressive bidding there, it is getting the leases for it, and consistently Adani is winning all these important leasings for airports and all. So very aggressive move here, and this may be an important issue to discuss there in an article. So big articles will come on this issue for sure. Next, transfer 100 crore rupees to CPCB. Supreme Court tells Meghalaya government, Meghalaya Environmental Protection and Restoration Fund would have to transfer 100 crore rupees to CPCB, because they gave them a lot of important warnings, but instead of that, they did not stop anything in terms of rat hole mining and illegal mining there. And many people's and kids, their lives are under threat, and this thing is going on as usual, instead of that huge issue that that happened some months back, when many kids, they lost their lives, and the rat hole mining was a big highlight at that time. So still they are not concerned, and they are not taking any step there. So 100 crore rupees fine they have to pay to CPCB here. Next, Iran is getting a package from IMF, $1 billion they are getting here, and for 3 years it would be given, and for 39 months IMF would watch them. You see, we had also taken a loan from IMF in 1991 when this financial crisis was there in front of us, but we have repaid all the loan, and there were many conditions, but they proved to be very much progressive for us, like liberalization we had to do. We had to open our economy, we had to allow the foreign investments and all, and we had to allow many foreign companies in India. So all these things proved to be very much effective for India, and we have seen a great growth phase after 1991 only. But how Pakistan is going to able to bring all those reforms and all, that is to be seen here, because many conditions are there in Pakistan. It is struggling a lot. Okay. Next, these are the words, and I would end the lesson now. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sen.